does not exist anywhere. It never really did. It always existed in gold and silver and copper and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Problem is, it's been replaced by a promise to pay money. Okay. As strange as this sounds, a promise to pay made by a bank to use term money, because these promises serve in effect as money. In other words, our global monetary system is made up of things like IOUs, bonds, and guarantees, but there are no actual money. The money in your bank account does not actually legally belong to you. Did you know that? In legal terms, the money in your account belongs to the bank, not to you. This is horrifying, but it is a legal fact, okay, in most countries. Instead, we enjoy a kind of rental agreement that grants us temporary permission to trade with a bank's IOU, for a fee, of course. If I work for Vodafone and Vodafone runs out of money, then they could pay me with airtime instead. Airtime is a commodity that can be traded in effect as money. This is precisely how the banks work. The air gets passed around as exchange for goods and services. Okay? A bank loan is not a loan at all. A loan is the creation of brand new money. When a bank makes a loan, brand new money is created. Sometimes this referred to as fractional reserve banking. You guys probably heard of that before. But this is a misrepresentation. Fractional reserve banking implies that banks take deposits or other money that the bank actually has, then loan it out. It implies that there is a movement of money into your account. This is completely incorrect. The entire amount of a bank loan is fabricated by the bank the moment that loan is granted. There is not a bank loan in existence today whereby the bank could actually show a transfer from their account to the lender.
Okay.
These are facts.
Yeah.
Yep. Ask some questions, sure.
Can we take all of this, because you're reading stuff off that Gare and some of his paper. How do I, as an entrepreneur, so I hear a lot of this, and I do know about this stuff, but how do I take it from the banking system has issues to I'm an entrepreneur and I want to get maybe some startup capital or some ideas for my startup, and I don't know how to invest or where to invest or what to use to invest. So start helping me with that.
Okay, so you need to, first of all, you need to create some kind of commodity, coin, asset, something that you could back with your skill, if that makes sense, okay? Yeah. So your skills are numerous, as I'm sure everyone on this call will agree, and you have a lot of things that I'm sure you haven't even showed us yet that you can do. So all of these things, like you could sell these tokens to people for a penny a piece, let's say, just initially, right? And then you can allow them to trade those tokens to you for your time, for your products and your services, and again, for your time, if that makes sense. So that's really what these cryptocurrencies allow you to do. But I want to kind of continue this, because this article has nothing to do with Gare. This has to do with actual people who have done a lot of research into how banks work, how government officials, bank executive, lawyers, all of these guys, pretty much anyone who's studied traditional economics have all been taught the wrong facts about how banking and money systems actually work. The Bank of England has actually confirmed what I just said to be true. Okay, that's coming right from Lord Adair Turner, who was a former bank regulator. Okay, and he very clearly stated in his own quote, mythological story of what banks do. Okay, our schools and universities are teaching a mythological story of what banks do and how they function. Yep, all around the world. So,
Mike,
yep.
Can you turn your camera on so we can see you?
Yeah, that would actually help too.
Yep.
I found the presentation material.
Not really the greatest. I don't have the greatest camera. That's why I don't like having it on.
That's fine.
I still want people to know who you are.
Yeah, the man behind the mystery. We had a mystery presenter. Dun dun.
The man behind the voice.
There we are. So did you guys know this, though? Tax is almost entirely unnecessary. In most countries, each and every cent derived from income tax is used to pay only the interest on that country's national debt. Nearly all of this national debt is created out of thin air. When our government issues treasury bonds, bonds are simply written promises given to the banks in exchange for their money, airtime, which we, the people, must then pay back with interest. This is a fact. I'm not making this up, okay? A fact here. All money owned by a government or person to any bank is nothing more than a legal fiction. It does not exist. In fact, the word credit comes from the Latin word credere, which means to believe. Debt, interest, IOUs, promises, and money are all literal and legal figments of the imagination. Without belief or confidence, then the system will die. Okay? While we wait for a utopia, we should use alternative currencies. From global currencies like Bitcoin, Maxcoin, Exactly coins. I mean, there's all sorts of different things. There's even community currencies that have been around longer than Bitcoins, called Berkshares, and there's many community currencies. Type them in. Take notes, guys. Community currency.
There were people doing stuff even, and I've seen different ideas
for years. Yeah.
But
yeah, there's
open up the discussion so people
Sure.
can get their ideas out there. And I'll give like an example. Like you're talking about commodities, and then like take this concrete example for everyone. Like my friend, Bruce, which some of you guys don't know, he's a good friend of ours, and he does stuff with traffic exchanges a lot. So one day he came to Micah, and then he was talking to me about it because I do logos, and he said, "Oh, I have an idea for a coin. We can give it to traffic exchange owners, and we can use it in the traffic exchange industry to create value." And I said, "Okay, I make a little logo out of it." And then this becomes its own economy in the traffic exchange thing. Now, Bitcoin, like you were talking about, can be used to buy different things. You can convert it to money. You can buy regular items like this. So I want to get kind of into, okay, I'm a new entrepreneur. I heard this speech and I read the paper. But it's one thing to read something, and it's one thing to create a community around something. I don't know who here has used cryptocurrency besides me and Micah, or knows about it.
You know about it.
I don't know very much about it at all. So.
Can I ask
Okay.
like, some of your experiences to some people who've used it? What do you think? And then maybe get into personal stories and how we can either come up with an idea for it for you or move it forward in some direction.
Okay.
What do you think, Dan?
For me, I actually went to a presentation for type of, and a lot of what they were saying was kind of along the same lines what you guys have said to some of the things that you've talked about before, but a lot of what John Micah is saying, I actually agree, because being an accountant and working in the accounting industry, having dealt with banks and stuff and things like that, I think a lot of what he's saying is true, that there's a lot of money being made out of whatever, just built on the promise to pay, because nothing is on any standard anymore. There's no gold or silver or anything to offset to give a true value against it, so they can set it at whatever rate they want, and you can change it anytime you want, and you can change the rules on it anytime you want based on whatever the government decides or whatever. So you don't have anything standard to go against that can be looked at by other outside interests and entities to see set a value at it from an outside entity's point of view too.
Yeah.
So it's whatever is they're told. You have to take it at face value, because they say it's worth $1 million, but yet there's nothing there to substantiate that $1 million. You kind of, you're kind of stuck, and that's kind of where we all are.
True.